starting with a vision for a better and more responsive healthcare program. The Philippine Health Insurance Corporation was created.
Let me take a quick detour from our usual programming, as when I saw this on the news yesterday morning, my blood started boiling and I want to get this off my chest, as I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one. Why? We all pay for this every month. The recent announcement by Health Secretary Teodoro Herbosa sounds great on a radio soundbite. Direct contributors deserve more than basic wards. They're dangling better packages for the Filipino middle class, but for most of us, it's too little, too late. Promising better hospital accommodations like air-conditioned rooms with only 2 patients and zero balance billing. We're all paying for a system that only remembers us when the fund is running dry. And most of us find that insulting. This feels less like a gift and more like a desperate attempt to gaslight a nation that's been bankrolling a system we don't trust. Simply put, we're asking where the freaking money went and why are we paying more funds that they mismanaged? To the Filipino working class, paying for their parents' maintenance meds while saving for a future that feels like a fever dream. PhilHealth doesn't feel like health insurance. It feels like corruption tax. We see the 5% monthly deduction capped at $5,000 in 2025 and 2026, not as a safety net, but as a subscription fee to a service that only works if you're lucky enough to find a hospital that actually accepts the case rate without asking for a massive top-up first. Let's go get them. Tara. Let's address the elephant in the room, the trauma of the 2020 PhilHealth scandal, where around 15 billion pesos of PhilHealth funds was allegedly pocketed by its own officials through the IRM, or the Interim Reimbursement Mechanism. Whatever the hell that means. That hasn't faded in all our collective minds. In fact, it has curdled into a deep-seated resentment. The logic is fairly simple. Officials allegedly lost or misappropriated billions. To sustain the fund, the premium rates were hiked yearly, reaching the 5% ceiling last year alone in 2025. Now they tell us we'll get better packages. It feels a lot like someone broke into your house, stole your stuff, and is now charging you more money to pay each month, mandatory, just because they didn't steal enough from you. It's how it feels like for most of us. It's not just unfair, it's an institutionalized insult to our intelligence. The Philippine middle class is the ultimate in-between.
Middle nga eh.
You earn too much to be indigent, which by the way rightfully get free care. That's not the problem here. But you earn too little to afford the 6 to 7 ICU bills from private hospitals. The current zero balance billing for the middle class is a reactive policy at best. If you'd look up all the hospitals that do that in your region, chances are you'd see maybe 2, 3, 4. 4 is kind of pushing it. Have a look. It's an admission that the system was never designed for the people who actually fund it. By the time this benefit reaches someone, it's often too little, too late. A lot of us have become experts at modern-day survival, self-insuring through our own HMOs, emergency funds, and God forbid, GoFundMe pages. Because we know PhilHealth will only cover the crumbs of a major surgery bill. While I understand most of us feel deep resentment towards this agency, the fact is we still have that problem of keeping ourselves and our loved ones afloat. So the shift from passive resentment to aggressive accountability is key here. We have to keep moving or its us will suffer in the end, like we always do. Treat your PhilHealth contribution as a sunk cost, money you will never see again. It's like a bad investment. Maximize your employer-provided HMO, if you're lucky to even have one. And if possible, get a secondary critical illness plan or a secondary private health insurance. Never rely on government promises. Listen, if PhilHealth covers a portion, treat it as a pleasant surprise, not as a guarantee. The next time you or a loved one is hospitalized, demand a breakdown of what PhilHealth covered versus what you paid out of pocket. Stir things up, post it. Redact the personal info, of course. Show the premium benefit versus the actual benefit. The only way to combat DOH's PR machine is to show the receipts of the working class. When they say zero balance and you still pay 50K, the public needs to see that disconnect. I think it's also our social responsibility as citizens of this divided nation. Stop calling yourself a member. You're a shareholder. You aren't receiving a benefit. You are claiming a return on investment. Insurance nga eh. When dealing with PhilHealth offices or hospitals, use the language of the law. Remind them that as a direct contributor, the law requires them to provide meaningful and commensurate benefits. So do you think there's hope? Well, yeah, but only if we stop being the silent majority. The fact that they are even talking about middle class packages in 2026 is a sign that the brain drain and the loud complaints from working professionals are finally scaring the administration. Hope shouldn't be that PhilHealth will fix itself. Bahala na yan. Bahala na sila dyan. Hope should be that we are becoming too expensive to ignore. The more we demand transparency, like the return of the 89.9 billion excess funds to the health sector instead of the national treasury, the more they realize that the middle class isn't a piggyback they can keep breaking for their own gain. The better packages are a peace offering to a generation that's tired of being the country's ATM. Take the air-conditioned room if you have to, but never stop asking, where does the rest of our money go? I'm Chase, now ready to go back to other things I keep stressing about. This helped. Be safe there, my friends. Salamat for watching.